The switch to ebooks has made reading more convenient for many people. As more readers choose these options, libraries have had to adapt to offer ebooks to their communities. But the costs that they have to pay are much higher than the print version of a book, in some cases 3 to 5 times the amount. Well, a proposed law would change those pricing models. Here to talk about it is the director of the Hoboken Public Library, Jenny Pugh, as part of our Under the Dome series. Jenny, so great to have you with us. Why is it that libraries are paying 3 to 5 times more for an ebook than they are for a print copy of a book?
Well, thank you for having me, Joanna. Demand for digital books and audiobooks keeps growing in New Jersey, and every year libraries are spending more to try to keep up. At Hoboken, where I'm the director, we now spend more on digital content than we do on physical books. But what most people don't realize is that libraries actually have zero ability to negotiate the price, the terms, or even how we access it. That's all set by a handful of publishers, and libraries either accept those terms or we don't offer those books.
So the difference there then is when you're purchasing a print copy of a book, you could go to probably a number of different publishers to decide what books you bring in. There are fewer publishers for ebooks, is that correct?
Well, a handful of publishers control the vast majority of the most in-demand titles. And a library's mission is to serve the public. And if the public wants a certain title, really that's the title they want to read. So we have to provide that. And so we then have to basically accept those terms that are set to us by those publishers.
And as I understand it, part of those terms is that you have to continue paying for that book over and over and over, that digital copy of that book. Is there an explanation that's ever been given as to why that's a required repeated purchase rather than a one-time purchase like you would for a print copy?
Yeah, I'm so glad you made that difference. I liken it to, and I want to be very explicit. Libraries, we are here to exist we serve the public, and we see the huge demand for the reasons that you mentioned. People are using ebooks for not just convenience, but for accessibility reasons. We continue to pay into these licenses that were set to us, and think of it like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain wide open. Every license we purchase expires, typically in 2 years. And so we continue to pour money down into that, but the line doesn't go down because the licenses keep expiring. So what this bill does is set some parameters on how public institutions spending this amount of money on digital content can function.
Yeah, I want to talk about that bill. Thank you for bringing it up. Senator Andrew Zwicker, state senator here in New Jersey, has proposed a bill that would limit these types of contracts. And he's put some stipulations in the bill as to what cannot be included. Let me just say more broadly, he prohibits the procurement or licensing of any contracts that limit or restrict the library's ability to have its customary lending function. What are some of the things that this bill would stop in terms of that contracting process that you just laid out?
Well, I think most importantly, again, I want to say we don't have any say in how these terms are being dictated to us. In a normal market situation where you're spending millions of public funds, we would have a say in that. And so Senator Zwicker is really asking an accountability question. How is it that public institutions collectively spending millions on digital content have no ability to negotiate? And so this will be setting some reasonable parameters for how taxpayer dollars are used in a digital market.
I found it interesting that one of the items here in terms of the rules that would be set is that you would be allowed to share information about your contracts with other libraries or with the Attorney General's office. Are you right now precluded from sharing that information?
You're very right. We don't have access to that. And this bill is surfacing some basic transparency. We want transparency because we are stewards of public dollars, and we want to be able to deliver the highest value for the public that we serve.
So violations would fall under the Consumer Fraud Act. If this bill does pass, what does it mean for libraries, and then what does it mean for the community?
Well, I want to say, multiple states are moving forward on this, and I'm really proud that New Jersey is moving forward. Rhode Island just introduced their bill a few weeks ago. What this starts is an actual process of negotiation. Fundamentally, is that we want to provide more access to these titles to meet the huge demand in a way that's sustainable and ensures that we are spending taxpayer dollars in the most efficient and fair way possible.
Yeah, and not spending and respending and respending, right?
Right.
Jenny Poo, director of the Hoboken Public Library, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Under the Dome is made possible in part by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.